So today in this instructional video, we're going to be showing you how to adjust the chain on a motorcycle. Some of the tools that we're going to be using today are going to be a 14mm and a 13mm wrench, along with a pipe wrench. Now, depending on the motorcycle, it will vary on the tools required, but for my motorcycle, this is all that's required. So some of the area that we're going to be looking at today is going to be this area right here. This is your rear axle along with a tensioner bolt. There's two tensioner bolts on these motorcycles, one on each side. So as we move around to the other side here, you will also see the rear sprocket and the chain here. This is your axle bolt and nut, which you will have to also loosen along with the tensioner here. Now, to loosen these tensioners, you simply take your wrench and along here you want to have your smaller wrench, which is here. You'll break this nut here, which I've already pre-broke so it wouldn't take so long in the video, but you'll just loosen this up here, and you'll also make sure that this one's loose here on both sides. Now, as you can see, my chain is very loose. You should only have about a ½ inch of play in your chain. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to push the tire back since we've got everything loosened up. So if you just give me one moment while I do that. Okay, now all I simply did was just simply pull the tire back. Make sure it was as far back as I could go. Now before I tighten these up here, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and start tightening this up just to add a little bit of tension on the chain. This is going to slowly push the rim back as you tighten this bolt. This might take a couple turns. So I've got a good snug there. See how I still got a little bit of play in my chain. What we're going to do next is we're going to move to the other side of the motorcycle. And we're going to simply tighten up this bolt here. What we're doing is we're pushing this back away from the front of the motorcycle. I'll go ahead and I'll use my fingers just to make sure it gets snug up against there so it don't take so much time. And then I'll slowly make a few turns. It doesn't take much once you have it in the proper position. And as you're tightening this, you can also keep a reference. As you can see here, there's some little knots. So you just keep a reference on those, and it gives you a good little guide to go by. I usually put mine about 1.5 knots there. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure it's right along there, which I see I still got a good little ways I can go. Let's go ahead and take a look. That's a little too far, so we're going to go back just a hair. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tighten up this set screw here, which is what they call it. It just basically sets your two pieces together to where it doesn't move. So you'll just counter twist it with each other, like so. Then we're going to move back to the other side. Now every time you move back to this side here, you want to check the tension on your chain to make sure you're not getting too tight. As you can see, we're getting a little bit better here. So I'm just going to check my markings on this one, and I see I've got probably about half a bump to go. So I'm just going to give it a few more twists real quick. Alright, so we're about halfway there. Maybe go a little bit more. Turn back just a hair. Now we're going to go ahead and set this set screw here. And there we are. Okay, let's take our tension. Alright, now you want to leave, like I said, about a ½ inch of play. And one of the ways you can check this is by taking your knuckle, okay, and you just want to move it here. So if the top moves from here to here, that's about a ½ inch of play. So see, as you can see there, it moves about a ½ inch. So what that does is once you sit on it, it's going to give you the suspension travel you needed on your chain to give it the proper tension. Now once you're finished with this, you just want to check all your settings, make sure that all your things are tight here. That is definitely one precaution you want to take. The last thing you want is your rear tire coming loose while you're traveling down the highway. Alright. Okay, now the last step to this process is to take your wrench or your socket set, whatever you're using, and you want to tighten up this rear nut really well, because this is the final safety measure for your bike staying together once you start driving down the highway. And like I said, you want to put a good amount of tension on it, but you don't want to put a whole lot of tension to where you put your bearings in a bind. Alright, and that should just about do it. Check your chain one more time, and everything looks good to go. I thank y'all for watching, and y'all have a good day.